The function NestWhileList, it works very similarly to NestList. The big difference is that instead of saying how many times do I want to apply the function, in this case I say what's the condition that tells me when to stop applying the function. So let me give you an example. Say I want to keep squaring the number 2, so 2, then 2 squared, then square that, and so on. Say I want to keep doing that until I get to a number that's bigger than 1,000,000. How can I do that? So first up here, let me clear f, and let me say f of x is equal to x squared. And now let me say f. I want to start with 2, and now here I have to put in a condition that says while it's less than 1,000,000, keep squaring. How do I do that? Well, I do it using something called a pure function inside of Mathematica, and the way I get that is I put a pound symbol for the variable, then I say less than 1,000,000, and then I finish a pure function with the ampersand symbol, with the and symbol. Okay, so how you should read this is you should think of it as start with 2, keep applying f until it's no longer less than 1,000,000. And could have done the same thing without the list. I could have just done NestWhile, and that would show me the last entry in the list. But for us, usually we're going to want to see the whole list. So stops being obvious at some point, but you get each of these numbers by squaring the previous number, starting with 2 and then squaring the previous number. And then when does it stop? It stops when it goes past 1,000,000. So it stops when this thing is no longer true. This expression here is no longer true. And one of the interesting things about these pure functions is that we can also use them in the first slot when we're defining what's the function that we want to keep applying. So as an example, say I want to do times 10. How can I do that? Well, I can't do x times 10, even though from your algebra background, you can probably think to yourself, okay, he's trying to say the function, which is multiply by 10. But the way we have to do it in Mathematica is to use one of these pure functions. So for my variable, instead of having an x, I have a pound. And then again, I have to finish it with this ampersand symbol. So let's evaluate it. So now it started at 2. Then it kept multiplying by 10, and it stopped when this last expression was no longer true, when this last expression became false. These pure functions, like up here with the pound and the and symbol, those are very useful when you don't want to actually define the function on its own line. So if you don't want to name the function, you just want to describe it. Like maybe I don't want to name the function multiply by 10. Maybe I just want to write it down somehow. Then these pure functions, they give me a way to specify the function, but without giving it a variable name associated to it.